We're live on YouTube.
Okay.
And
Hi, everybody. Woo! How y'all doing? Let me get my little headphones on. There we go. Oh, I can hear. How are you? God only knows, and he's going to sit here and mess with his computer
I'm going
until
live,
until I lose it.
I went live.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Went live.
We're live on everywhere we're supposed to be.
Except how about on you? With you.
I'm live.
You're going to have a drum circle.
Yes, we're having a big drum circle Saturday at Cosmic Yogi Festival. Janice Hitchcock is leading it. We have the little woman goddess power going on in the drum circle. That's right. Very excited. She's going to be leading it. It's at the Cosmic Yogi Festival this weekend. The festival actually starts at 9.
I didn't say it didn't.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, you made it sound as if
It's new because it used to be 10. But we are actually having some yoga classes start at 9 this year. So that would be very exciting. It's in Addison, at Addison Convention Center. So there's 2 yoga classes starting at 9. And then from 10 to 5, there's 3 to 4 yoga classes or meditation classes every hour. We have mini seminars every 35 minutes. Nice.
Meditation classes.
Woo! Awesome blossom. Ooh, that's good. Very nice. Very nice.
A lot of people don't know that I'm proficient at some of this stuff, you know.
You turn your phone off, honey.
I'm not proficient at that.
No, he's not, but that's okay. It looked like you turned it on.
No,
okay.
I turned it off.
Okay. So anyway, this is
Sam
Ken Goldberg.
Kim checked in. Leah checked in. Leah's going to be at your event.
I know, she's speaking, and I'm very excited. She's speaking to the yoga teachers or future yoga teachers or maybe managers or other owners about how to make a living teaching yoga. And she has a business model for that, and she's presenting. So very exciting. I think she's towards the end of the day, so I'm very excited. I think that'll draw a lot of people.
She's got that place in Frisco called Sacred Space.
And they do a lot of drum circles out there.
Do they? They do one a month, I think.
Oh, well, that's a lot.
But they haven't done it lately because they've been out of town and stuff's happened. So
I think Janice goes out there, doesn't she? No?
She may.
Yeah, I thought she did.
I only been out there one time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't pay attention. I only watched because
Thank you, Sam. I'm right back at you, honey.
Sam's despicable.
Oh, I like Sam.
But I will say this about Sam, besides being despicable. He's doing a cooking show on his own.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if he's any good at cooking because
I'm sure he's got to be halfway decent if he's doing a cooking show.
Well, I mean, it's his own podcast kind of thing.
But still, that's pretty cool.
He makes he tried to show how you make rice potatoes.
What's that new?
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it's but I think that
there it goes. No, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no bike on it. How cute is that? Oh, there's a little bicycle. Oh, so cute, Ken. All right, so this is Ken Goldberg's Lawn Disorder, and with me, AJ, as the co-host. And Ken is now playing his little fluty flute. Maybe we should do a sound meditation together where you play this flute and then I play the crystal bowls. Oh, that would be a good thing. Wouldn't it be nice?
I have a crystal ball over there.
Yeah, but I have all of them.
That's true. You have a collection.
I have a whole set.
I've been to AJ's, what do you call it?
Crystal bowl meditation.
That's what I was going to say. I've been to AJ's crystal bowl meditation. And it's groovy. It's like,
and I have my chimes, my 6-foot chimes.
It's like 1969 all over again.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, relaxation.
So welcome to the show.
Ken Goldberg's Lawn Disorder.
Yeah, AJ just did a nice promo for the most significant thing coming up, which is the Cosmic Yogi Festival.
That's right.
I'm off to do something in California, so I won't be there. I would want to be at least meditation if I didn't do drum.
Yes. See, Leah's all for us doing the meditation. Yeah. You could do the drums and the flute, and I'll do the crystal bowls. This weekend I did the crystal bowls and with Ebony, who does yoga in the hood, which is a really cool program. And then somebody doing the drums, and it was it was so incredible. Loved it.
Yeah, well, I wasn't invited, so let's move.
Well, you
along
are. It
from
was
there.
online. You could have just showed up. I didn't think you want to go to Fort Worth.
I didn't.
Yeah, there you go.
So let's talk about the show.
So Ken from Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder is an attorney. Now, what's your tagline, Ken? Ken's an attorney in 3 states.
I got my tagline. Beats going to jail.
That's good. Beats going to jail. All right.
Yeah, something like that.
He's a former Buddhist monk, ordained Buddhist monk. And what else? God only knows. He's a gun advocate. He's on gun ranges and bars. And oh my God, he's had a past. And I currently own Dallas Yoga Magazine and Cosmic Yogi Festival. And I too have had a past.
and here's the thing. I did some research on this. Neither one of us is done making a past.
No, absolutely not.
As we sit here, if you look closely,
That's right.
you will see us creating a past instantaneously.
Really? That's what you're going for?
I'm just saying, as we sit here, the very essence of impermanence.
Oh my God.
Is that this moment?
He's in his Buddhist monk role right now.
We're already in the past.
What is it, Satu?
Yes.
Yay!
So
Satu.
this moment is in the moment, but the moment I just talked about,
Yes.
it's already gone.
Already gone.
All right.
Already gone.
So
I went to temple this weekend.
Temple is
Jewish
synagogue.
synagogue.
We used to call it temple, but
I called it temple.
I eventually changed to synagogue. It differentiates.
A friend of mine was reading the Torah, and she got up there, so it was almost like her
mitzvah.
yeah, well, it was almost like her bar mitzvah. So, although I think she was bar mitzvah before, but maybe not. But it was amazing. It was just beautiful. Yeah, really nice.
Well, what was the occasion? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, she's been studying Hebrew, so I think she started either didn't
I
do
guess
it
they
before.
can give you a
or-
reading just because.
Well, they sort of refer to it
Sometimes
as like a bar mitzvah.
It's like an honor too, because
Oh, it's a huge
when I
honor.
used to go to the
Yeah.
synagogue, you sitting there,
Mhm.
they'd call up a handful of some of the more prominent members of the synagogue of the congregation to read parts of the
Oh,
Torah.
nice. Yeah, so
Yes.
she studied and studied and studied, and so then she sang her Torah, chanted her Torah, and it was beautiful. She did a great job.
Well, have you been to the Buddhist temple? How's it doing?
I drive by it every day.
How are they coming along? Because they were hit very hard by the tornado.
Actually, I think it looks worse. So I guess that means they're making progress. I don't know. I didn't realize how severe the roof was. Like a lot of those shingles are gone.
Yeah, the roof got hit hard.
It did. And the other thing, the beautiful, I don't know, things hanging down off the metal things,
all
the
that
tin.
A lot of it
Those
got
are
blown up.
those are like vented and stuff.
Yeah. The
How
Buddhist
do they
temple
fix that?
took a big hit. The Thai temple is inextricably enmeshed and intertwined with Thailand itself.
Right.
A lot of that stuff
Oh, it looks
made in
yeah,
Thailand
there's no question. I
and
figured it
shipped
all was.
over.
Yeah.
So
There's
I
no
don't know if
question.
we'll have to bring in craftspeople.
Oh,
Thailand.
gotcha.
The wallpaper, the Buddhist temple,
Mhm.
was sent over. It was hand painted and rolled up and sent over. And 3 Thai people came over and
And put it
installed
up,
it.
right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So when you're in the Buddhist temple, the thing I liked about it the first time I was there was a gentleman, the friend of yours, took everybody around and told the story of Buddha on the walls. It was almost, it reminded me of Catholic upbringing because it has all the stained glass windows telling the story of the stages of the cross. This is sort of the same thing. It tells the whole Buddhist story on the walls. And it was just, I found it fascinating. Beautiful. Over the top gorgeous.
I'm asked a lot what all that means, and I just tell them I don't know.
Oh, but you do know.
No, I know what some of it means. Some of it's, it's
Well,
just
all you
a
have
lot.
to do is listen to the guy a couple
Yeah,
of
I
times
know.
and you'd know.
I know, but
I like that. I thought it was fascinating.
somebody's got to be the host with the most.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
you're the
he's
host with
giving
the
the
most.
tour.
I like the
I'm
little tour. I
the
always tell
host.
people if you go, make sure you go to the
So
tour.
David Brown comes on Wednesday night. Usually.
Awesome. Hey, David.
Hi, David. So
is it open right now even?
Dale is actually in Thailand. Dale Cates.
Really?
Yeah, if
Wait.
he's tuning in, if he's still here.
Awesome.
I mean, he could be in the United States, but I've never,
Hmm.
I haven't seen him in the United States in years.
Very cool.
Ray Dean's in Tucson. Kelly's here in Dallas. She's with Stays on Roofing. Sam is in near
She's
Phoenix,
making money
Arizona.
right now. Kelly's making money right now.
Yeah. Well, actually, she works for Paul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Stays on. We were going to them do Temple, but they didn't want. Sam's in outside of Phoenix.
Gotcha.
So we
well,
have
Sam's my favorite.
We have an international array of stars. David just moved back from Washington, D.C.
Awesome.
So on with the show.
On with the show.
All
right, we got some really cool stuff here today. We have a lot of articles.
And
he was on a roll today.
I'm going to try to do it in the present moment.
Okay.
Instead of the past.
Okay. You're going to start with this one, aren't you?
Don't you think
Am I supposed to feel sorry for them or something?
Well, that's an interesting comment.
Because maybe I really don't. Am I supposed to?
You
You can start with that. Were you afraid of my comment? You already knew which angle I was going. Yeah, they're expecting that.
Tune in later for AJ and Ken to fight.
They can castrate him and then they'd be okay.
So I talked recently about the new district attorney of Dallas County. His name is John Crusoe, former judge, from incredibly progressive person. And it's turning out to be, he was a progressive judge. He created, I think, the drug diversion program in the court.
Is this the one who did the Amber Geiger and decided to go with her and that,
Go with her?
Not go with her, but
he had to prove the charges against her.
Correct. Okay.
He's the head DA.
Mm-hmm.
He has to prove anything of that.
The Observer had an interesting article on him about, because now they're comparing what they did with Geiger to what's happening in Fort Worth now, of course, with that case and So it was interesting.
Well, he wouldn't be the DA in Fort Worth.
No, but they were comparing the cases.
Well, I didn't get to see that article. So John Crusoe, I met him when I did the expunctions.
Okay.
He came down because his office helped coordinate that. They may have done more than help coordinate it. They made it possible for hundreds of people to get their records expunged legally. Awesome. And they recruited people like me, volunteer lawyers, to come in. So Crusoe has reduced charges that are being brought for just nickel-dime stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because he sees a pattern. He says, it just cost us too much money to prosecute these nickel-dime offenses. And so, and he's under attack by law enforcement. Oh, you make our job harder. It's crazy. Anyways, it turns out that Kim Fox, the Cook County prosecutor in Chicago, Illinois, is doing very much the same thing. She's backed off significantly. I mean,
on the small charges.
Yeah. So
small possession charges.
They turned away more than 5,000 cases in her first year in office. These are 5,000 cases that, according to the study, and they looked at various metrics, would have been prosecuted under the former district attorney, who happened to get kind of run out of office because she hid that police video where they got shot 16 times, the boy.
Right.
She was one of the people that was keeping that video from being exposed. So when it came out, it kind of finished her career. So
what would you have done in that situation, though, knowing that your police officers were at complete risk if that video came out? I don't know what I would have done.
You gotta do what you gotta do, which is publish it.
Jeez.
Knowing
that officers are going to get killed over it?
Well, officers weren't going to get killed.
You really don't think so?
One went to prison.
No. I meant the officers on the street when everybody saw it. I think it puts the officers on the street at danger because of these idiots.
It happened a while ago, and I'm not aware of any repercussions.
But you understand what I mean.
But you got to do what you got to do.
Okay.
You can't worry about the consequences. When justice needs to be served, it needs to be served.
Yes, Mr. Lawyer.
Quickly. Timely.
I don't have an answer for it, but that would be very difficult for me to release something thinking that the officers on the street might be harmed by it because of this one idiot officer.
Well, he's not the only idiot officer.
I know he's not the only idiot, but you understand my point here. No, you don't. Okay.
So on with the show. In addition to the 5,000 cases, it says here that they've dismissed an additional 2,300 drug cases that under the former prosecutor were gone to trial. You know how I feel about drug cases. They should just all go away. So a lot of these people have been diverted into counseling and treatment, and ultimately their charges are dropped, which is what happens here now. This is what we call progressive. This means that we're no longer stuck in the past of that somehow we can legislate morality, we can criminalize certain behaviors as though it will have an effect, a deterrent effect. There are certain crimes for which there's no deterrent. Poverty creates crime that you can't deter.
Oh, look at she's watching from Kenya, Africa. I apologize.
Oh, so you understand?
Yes,
Okay.
I get it 100%.
So, but simultaneously, an association of suburban police chiefs
They're
and
upset.
Chicago Police Union, the Fraternal Order of Police, issued a vote of no confidence and demanded her resignation. So she's elected by the people, and then the cops feel like, we don't like you, you need to step down, right? But there's nothing statistically on the side of the police. There's nothing statistically, no empirical data that would support the fact that prosecuting these smaller crimes or these
Right.
additional
Now-
drug cases would result in a reduction of property and or violent crime.
Well, and it's not like the big cases. These are small cases, small possessions, small robberies. Not that any of it, it is against the law. However, you got to, go
And
for the
here's the
yeah.
surprise. She has brought
Surprise!
40% more felony arrests for gun
Guns.
cases than her
Right.
than her successor,
Felony
her
arrests
predecessor.
for gun cases.
Yes. So she's really aggressively prosecuting gun cases. And everybody screams about gun crimes in Chicago. Well, looks like she's doing something about it.
Right.
So kudos to Kim Foxx. I hope that her efforts are sincere, and I hope she gets reelected as a direct result of her attitude towards, moving this court system forward. Let me tell you something, and I think you and I have talked about it. If every defendant sitting just in jail right now
Mhm.
demanded a trial,
Mhm.
the system comes to a halt.
Absolutely.
It would not be able to function. The Speedy Trial Act, if everybody invoked the Speedy Trial Act, which means that whatever state you're in, there's a certain amount of days,
Sure.
the
It's
system
impossible.
comes to a screeching
Well,
halt.
I personally like it because they are putting people in treatment who possibly can get help and go on the right path from there, even if it's just a few.
To the moon, us, to the moon. So, by the way, we're broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube,
Yes.
Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder YouTube channel. You say it's even better than watching it on
Yeah,
Facebook.
YouTube station's a lot better. It's
We don't
better
have
than
any
watching it on
sponsors.
any of the other things.
No, well, we need somebody to give us some cash, man. We work hard.
I know, me too.
We do. So, if you want me to sponsor you, I want me to wear your shirt during the show.
Well,
Well,
I think they prefer it on my chest.
So
Okay.
I want the record to reflect for my future career. This is important.
Yes.
Think of my future career in case anybody in radio is looking. I'm not the one that's going blue. If you're looking for a radio talk show host today and you have an FM station and you think that
You're not
I'd
allowed
be
to say
great.
boobies on the air.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you are so full of
Stop.
you
Oh
are
my
so full of it.
God.
Stop pretending.
Oh, next you're gonna say penis.
You said it before I did.
Oh, stop.
Ken said it before I did. I'm so excited.
Get away from me.
He's being weird. What can we say?
Speaking of sex.
Oh, sex. Okay.
All right. So
Penis. We went from boobs to penis to sex. Okay, we're doing good. But this is bad sex. This isn't sex.
So this guy wrote this. And
Are
it
we
got-
going to disagree on this?
got published. No, not really,
Okay.
because we're not going to take pro or con on sex offenders. Here's what this guy wrote, and I thought it's important for people to ponder, although most people, like David. David and I had lunch Sunday.
Okay, I wasn't invited. But thanks.
He kind of called me. I was very spontaneous.
Okay.
Very
Not invited to the
spontaneous.
fair with everybody. Not
David and I
invited to
were
lunch
talking
with
about
David.
pedophiles, and he feels pretty strongly just, pop him in the head.
Well,
All right.
David, that's a little extreme.
Well, I know most people that think like that. So here's excerpts
I
from
was
what he
going for
said.
at least castration. Okay. I think that's better
You're
than
so
popping him in the
yeah.
head.
You're so benevolent. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Okay, go ahead.
So this is excerpts from his kind of editorial that he wrote that was published. All right. We face lifelong social obliteration and possibly death
Are you going to
behind
read
bars.
this whole thing?
No,
Oh, good.
this is excerpts.
I know. But are you going to read this whole thing?
I don't know yet.
We planned so well.
Why? It's not that long.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening. I apologize. I'll behave.
God.
I'll try to behave.
We live and die inside, not among friends and family, but among strangers. Unforgiven. And this, I've talked about this before. It's really important. In the end, we receive not the caress of a loved one, as would a free man, but the kick of a guard's boot, checking to see if there's a need to call an ambulance. You and I have talked on the show about how there's this hierarchy in prison,
Yes.
and that the show Lockup, they'll interview a guy who's doing life in prison for multiple homicides, and he gets interviewed and said, yeah, my last homicide was I decapitated my roommate, my cellmate, because he was a sex offender, and I don't tolerate sex offenders. You're like, you killed 3 people. How do you get to be better than a sex offender? You know, why are you?
I'm following what you're saying.
You know, I mean, somebody always needs
But
somebody.
the pedophiles will
So he
always
talks-
change.
he talks
They're
about-
amoebas of the prison.
He talks about a guy who died who was also a sex offender. He died in prison of natural causes, and he was talking about him and what a good guy he was, and how he had many friends in the institution. He's
Well, he's a good guy until you talk to the person that he abused. He ruined their life.
Well, but at some point, let's look at sex offenses, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What should be the penalty? So
I don't have a clue.
there are different levels of sex offenses. We know that. When you weren't here, I talked a lot about sex trafficking, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go back to that subject possibly today or next time. So the sex offenses, it can be looking at child porn.
Uh-huh.
You're not touching anybody, but you have possession of it. You're going to prison. You can fondle somebody without having any real sex with them. You can have what's called digital contact.
But that still affects that person for the rest of their
I'm
life.
not saying that. I'm
Okay.
not saying that. But there's levels of affect.
I'm
and effect,
following you.
Right? So
I was nauseated on the first one.
well, it's very everybody loves to kick the sex offenders. Everybody loves to kick them around. I've been on the air off and on since the late 90s, and I always advocated for them in a sense, not because I embrace sex offenses or pedophiles or anything of the sort. In fact, my record's quite clean.
I'm really glad to hear this.
No, I mean,
Of course
I
it
was
is.
talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, I don't even talk about women till they're men. It makes me uneasy to have sexual banter about women
Gotcha.
with men.
Yeah, you are a little shy.
Right. I don't like talking about sex with
I
women.
know. It's so funny. I'll say something. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, really?
So I become a prude as I've gotten older.
He has. He's really a prude. I'm like shocked.
So I've been forced into being a advocate of sorts for sex offenders because we've made such a big deal out of kicking them around, not letting them recover. And this stems originally from the fact that sex offenders originally, we didn't have a treatment modality for them.
Do we today?
Yes.
That works?
Yes. You know what's working? 12-step recovery is working with sex offenders, just as it's working with what we used to call the untreatable alcoholic. Okay. So go back 20, 25, maybe even 30 years. Sex offenders were recidivist. I don't know how many, but they got a reputation for being recidivist. And so what happens is, in the public eye, there was no way to rehabilitate a sex offender.
Mhm.
In fact, you just suggested.
Right.
Yeah. So that made them even easier to kick around. I mean, they're preying on a innocent population, and they're going to do it again if we don't castrate them, we don't kill them, whatever it is. But actually, I believe statistically the numbers would show that
I have no
there's a
idea. I've never looked
significant.
at it.
Well, and I
Yeah.
haven't looked lately.
Mhm.
I have a friend who was convicted of sex offenses
Mhm.
and a sex offense one, and he's been clean for years. He goes to meetings. There was a lot involved. I mean, when he first came out of prison, every touch of the keyboard automatically went to the parole office.
Sure.
If he
I don't think
accidentally,
there's anything wrong with that.
no, I'm not complaining about that, but they don't let them live anywhere. So
Yeah.
I've repeatedly talked the story about the sex offenders who are living underneath a bridge in Florida because they couldn't find housing, because most people won't provide housing. I've told the story about a man who lived across the street and down about 4 houses. And one day I come home and there's this flyer
Right.
on my door with his picture, his name, his address, saying he just was released and he's a sex offender.
Hmm.
And my daughters came home.
That's the law, though. You have to notify when
in
you.
some areas
Yes.
it's the law. So my children came home, my 2 daughters came home and said there's a rapist on our block.
Mm.
Well, they wasn't necessarily accused of being a rapist. And I said, well, where did you hear that? Well, they told us at school.
Mm.
So this guy had been my neighbor, had violated parole,
Mm-hmm.
gone back to prison, and now he got out. So I went down to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
I said 2 things. Listen, I know these flyers went out. You must know these flyers went out. They announced it at school. You probably know they announced at school. I said, as far as I'm concerned, you're good with me. I got 2 daughters. I'm not worried. If you touched my 2 daughters, I'd have to kill you, but I'd kill anybody on the block that touched my 2 daughters. So it's nothing personal, right? And he said, well, what happened is my former wife, and this is always a
Right.
thing,
Right.
former wife accused me of inappropriate sexual contact. I don't remember today with his stepdaughter and daughter.
Sure.
And he was prosecuted. He said his parole officer came into the house, which they can do anytime they want.
Sure.
Because when you get on parole, you have to, if you to agree to be released early, you have to agree that the parole officer can enter your premises where you live at any time without a warrant.
Mm-hmm.
And they found a knife, what would be classified an illegal knife for him,
Oh,
and maybe some pot or something. I don't know.
double
And they
edged.
violated him. They sent him away for 6 months, which is, it's a technical violation.
Sure.
It's not a repeat offense. And so now he was getting out, and they're starting all over on the guy. I don't think that's right. I don't think that they should have to live under bridges. My friend who had a conviction, he came out of prison, and here's what he says to me. My neighbors hate that I'm here. I hate that I'm here. I can't leave because there's nowhere I can go. Anywhere I might want to go, I might be prohibited. So I have to stay here and be subjected to the hate
Right.
of my neighbors who feel that I'm bringing down the property values. Because if you go into the computer,
I know. You go in and it's amazing how many are actually around
So
you.
years later, I asked him to come to work for me because he had been a worker for me before, and we were starting a new business. He said, you don't want me to work for him? I said, yeah, I want you to work for me. He's a really diligent guy in what I wanted him to do.
Mhm.
And he's like, now, because what they're going to do is that there are people, and all they do is track us,
Mhm.
civilians.
Right.
I said, they will publish the name of your business. They'll say you've hired a sex offender. They'll besmirch you. I said, I don't care. They're doing the wrong thing. I do the right thing. But he refused, and he's got his own.
So, okay. So I'm under the impression that they are trying to change it. So like when an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old has sex with his 16-year-old or 15-year-old girlfriend, can mutually agreeable, and then they come back and they prosecute him, that they're trying to do different levels now of sex offenders. Have you heard of that?
There's been different levels. There's the
Okay.
people that have to register for a period of time when they get out. Then there's lifetime registration. That will typically be based upon what you were charged with.
I think there should be something in
there's
those
already-
young.
Well, here's the thing about young. If you have sex with somebody under the age of 17
Mhm.
and you are within 3 years of their age,
Mhm.
it is a defense to the allegation of statutory rape, not rape, but what
Mhm.
you're talking
Right,
about.
right.
We had sex and it was illegal because of our age. So if you're if she's 15 or he's 15 and their lover is 18 or younger, then that would be a defense.
Gotcha. Because
Okay?
also,
In Texas.
well, they were arresting kids at school because they had pictures of underage girls on their phone because they were
Well,
18
that
and
becomes
seniors.
child pornography.
Exactly. And it's distribution of child pornography when it's texted out.
So how do you
So
feel
they
about
were,
that? How do you feel about boys who collect these? Somehow
Well,
they get the pictures
I
of
think-
girls in their school, and then
well, it was going all
either-
around school is part of the problem. All these,
So what about people that publish those photos of these girls, usually girls,
right.
and embarrass and humiliate them and cause them?
I think it's horrific.
So what should
I
be
don't
the-
have an answer.
How do you respond?
I
to
don't
a
have an
teenager?
answer, but that's considered distribution of child pornography, even if they're underage, right?
Yes.
Yes, even if they're underage. And that's what I would share this with my students all the time in stories and gave them cases about this happening. And, made sure they understood, but people were getting arrested all the time up at school for these things. The stupid people would send out pictures to all their friends of their naked girlfriends when they were 18 and the girl might be almost 16 and they've been dating 2 years or a year, and he goes and gets mad at her and sends out naked pictures, and he comes and gets arrested. And
Yeah. So I don't have as much pity for them. I have more pity for a sex offender, like an adult who's done his time in prison.
I don't know enough about, this is where I have problems with that, is I do not know enough about the rehabilitation process on it. So I can't make any kind of a judgment, because the people I know who were in it never got well. They always ended up going back for doing things.
Wow, you know that many? Because I
do.
don't. Well, yeah, I just know the one, and he's been clean. I know he has. He's a dear friend, and we talk regularly. And he's in this program. He stayed in the
Well,
program.
there's people up at 12-step
sponsors
programs too, but we're not aware because they only share that with their sponsors.
Yeah, well, he goes to specifically for sex offenders.
Yes.
And support groups, and he helps newcomers come out of prison, recently convicted, and tries to help them get immersed in the program.
Well, the other problem is, since 12-step programs have underage kids in them nowadays, it was this one person in particular had to go down with their sponsor to talk to the parole officer, and the only way he could go to a 12-step meeting was if his sponsor was with him.
Yeah, well, yeah, very rigorous safeguards.
Yeah.
And some of the safeguards, for instance, you want to move. Yeah, I'm committed to sex offender. I want to move, but I can't go near a park. I can't go near a church. I can't go near a school.
No,
by
it's
the time you're
difficult.
done,
It's like trying to set up a titty bar. And there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, exactly. and then if you try to get an apartment, if you're trying to rent anything, and they're asking if you have a conviction or if you had an arrest, you put that down. That's just killer. So
Did I ever tell you about my friend who was in prison for shooting someone because they
changed his name.
Changed his name
and hid.
It changed his name, and it has never come up again.
We've never known how he did that, though. Yeah.
I think because it was right on the timeline between computers coming of age. I don't know, but his background does not show up with his new name, and he changed his name when he was in prison.
Well,
and he's a felon, and it doesn't show up.
There's more to the story, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Every judge that I know of in any state will ask you, when you are standing before them, what are you changing your name because you owe any money, or
right?
Are you doing anything?
Well, he was doing it for religious reasons in prison because he became Muslim. So that's why he did it. He was in prison for like 20 years.
Well,
maybe not that long.
So luckily, when he got out, he was told to want to commit another murder. Statistically, he wasn't going to commit another offense. He was too old.
Yes.
All right. So medical pot on campus.
Ooh.
So somebody was thrown out of a community college in Phoenix recently because she was in a kind of quasi-medical program where she was, let's say, medical imaging.
Nursing, wasn't it, or something?
No,
just
it was nursing.
Okay, something of the sort.
And so she's got polycystic ovary syndrome, and she had a medical marijuana card. And so she had been told in advance, don't worry.
Right.
As long as you have the card, because they'll get drug tested in these certain programs. Well, they drug tested her. She came up positive, and they kicked her out of school. So she's suing. She's like, wait a minute, I invested dollars in this and time and stuff. And they're admitting that sometimes the school is saying, okay, lower
Right.
level people, and then people in power
Right.
are saying, yeah, no, we're not going to do
Don't
that.
you think, though, that this was because it is the medical field more so? It's sort of like the medical field, people operating big machinery, different. They're going to
But
have
they
issues
didn't,
in
they
all
didn't,
this.
they didn't
Truck
accuse her of
drivers.
impairment. So there should be a distinction between impairment and having pot in your system.
Okay,
Okay.
following you.
So if, for instance, somebody reports you and says, well, they were trying to give an injection, but they were stumbling. Well, you need to investigate that right away.
Okay,
And you
okay.
need to put that person out of. But if the person's doing something and nobody is identifying any impairment, then it's just leave it alone.
Haven't you ever been so high but nobody knew it?
Oh yeah, of course.
My point was made.
Yeah, but nobody knew it, partly because I wasn't doing anything to screw it up. Now, if I have a job that requires, a much greater attention span, and I've undertaken to get high, but you don't figure it out, well, I got away with it. I mean,
that's what I'm saying, and that's the scary part about this situation with the medical.
No, because
I think it's sort of scary.
you have been in situations where people have already gotten away with it in relationship to you, whether you were at a hospital, a doctor's office, or whatever. You don't even know the people reading your lab report.
No, I get it.
Might be sitting there drinking. So
that's why I'm saying I think in the medical field, under these circumstances, I understand it's why they would look at and take blood tests regularly to see if people are using any sort of drug. I get that, because I don't want somebody who's using drugs on me. I don't care if it's recreational or not. I don't want to mark it on me.
I don't care if you smoke a joint before you come to work.
I do.
As long as you don't hurt me.
I do. Don't touch me if you've been smoking a joint before you come to the hospital. Please don't. Don't come to my room. I don't want you. I don't want you on me. I don't want you in there. Just leave me alone. Get somebody else who's sober.
Now, historically, people on the job will not use. She was in school. She was a student at the time, number one. Number two, the evidence that the article is offering is that she used it to sleep at night because of this pain associated with the ovaries, and that was not allowed to be treated in consideration. So was she using during the day? Was she impaired?
Have you ever been so high when you go to bed at night and you wake up high the next morning and had to go do something like at work or something?
Worst case scenario.
I remember my drug and alcohol days. I was high for days. But there were people, I was not capable of functioning.
There were people around you that were capable of functioning.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way,
they might have been capable of functioning, but not 100%. I want 100% on my team.
I'm not gonna call y'all out. Those of you that worked for me at the gun range, they used to get smoked pot at night, and then the issue came up, do I care? And I said, as long as you show up for work, ready, willing, and able. There's people that have to take Xanax sometimes to sleep, and they can wake up a little hungover, but it's legal. I just want to know you ready, willing, and able to work.
Well, at least if they're smoking pot, they won't be quick on pulling the trigger. It's going to be a slow.
Yeah, they'll be kind of mellow about it.
It'll be slow.
So here's something.
I'm looking for the gun. I don't see the gun.
33 states in Washington, D.C. allow medical marijuana now. And 11 states in Washington, D.C. have legalized recreational marijuana. So the feds have not. So some of the schools are saying, well, we can't allow this because we get federal money.
Yeah.
We don't
that's true.
Well, but I don't think there's...
I can see the feds coming back and saying, I want my money back because you're not adhering by this. That sounds like something the feds would do. I believe that.
If you've gotten a medical marijuana card, if the state has determined that there are reasons, medical reasons for which marijuana may be appropriate, well, I said, for lack of a better word, pharmaceutically appropriate, glaucoma. So a person is using that. Do you think the Americans with Disabilities Act should apply if that person is...
I'm not judging the situation. I'm saying it's against federal law.
But I'm asking you a scenario.
Okay.
I'm putting apples up at Tom Thumb for the inventory. And I've had medical marijuana. I'm under the influence. It's probably not obvious, but
Do I want you working for me? No, because you might screw up. You might
So-
drop something. You might trip
so
somebody. Who knows?
So what if you have muscular dystrophy
Okay.
and you have your arm is kind of shorter than the other arm and it's harder for you to
You're
work?
not high.
No,
That's
I have a
fine.
disability.
That's okay.
So there are some
They
disabilities
they could take marijuana and get that too, but they're not.
for muscular
I am
dystrophy.
not I am not hiring somebody who's high. You can't to cover your insurance, can
You
you?
can come to work for me.
Does your insurance cover that? If they're high on the job and something happens and they're the cause of it and they're high and the insurance company can prove that, I don't think you're covered.
Notice that every time she says this, she reminds me of a cop in Paris, Texas. If you're high, if you're high, if you're high. I said if you used medical marijuana.
I said
had
if
a
you're
medical
high.
condition. She always rebuts with if you're high, if you're
Well,
high.
it doesn't
if you're
matter if it's
high.
medical marijuana or not. You're high.
So, well, everybody's not high when they use marijuana. Sometimes it just alleviates their discomfort, I'm sure. So I was doing a trial in Paris, Texas. It was a methamphetamine trial. This woman was charged with methamphetamine, right? And this cop from Paris, I don't remember his name. I didn't like him. He got on the stand, testified. So my client stole pseudoephedrine to trade to the cook.
Yeah,
The
I was
meth
just going to
cook
say he was making
to
meth. Yeah.
get right. So she'd give him pills. She'd steal at Walmart, and he'd give her ice.
Right.
Meth. So
That's
the,
a pretty good deal.
So the cop, I don't know.
If you're a meth head.
Well,
If you're
but
a meth head, sounds like a good idea.
she got caught stealing.
Oh, bad. At the time when you're high, it sounds like
No,
a good
because
idea.
As I said to the jury, she would have, because she was stealing pseudoephedrine, she actually got convicted. Well, she was charged with 20 crimes. She only did one crime: possession of pseudoephedrine to be used in the manufacturing of methamphetamine.
How many years
law.
was that?
It's a federal law. She got 5 years
Oh, that was okay.
for 174 tablets.
Oh, that was a lot. I mean, that was a lot of time.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
They offered 10 years.
Oh.
And here's the theory: they offered 10 years. That all the time that's what they caught her with. Apparently she had done it before. And I made this argument to the jury, and they did say something to me afterward. I said, she just stole tampons if he would have traded in tampons. She would have stole something that wasn't illegal to possess under federal law.
She didn't, honey.
Because he wouldn't trade in.
So it's his fault because
he creates
tampons?
Well, he creates the currency.
I get it.
Right.
But she still stole it.
So should she have gone down?
For 5 years, I think is a little much. But
well, I'm curious how much she should have gone.
He stole. I don't know. I probably would have put it in treatment. I would have been that person over there. That other.
She should have been. I said to the prosecutor, first off, doesn't belong in federal court.
I would have put her in. I would have put her in treatment.
Belongs in probation, and she belongs in treatment.
There you go.
They wanted to
I
jam. They got the cook who had already been in trouble to testify against his customer.
Oh, that's
so
really they didn't use her to testify against the cook.
No, when she offered to help prosecute cooks and dealers, the cop said no. And when he came to court, so here's the cop, he's on the stand. He said, well, I thought she was lying. But she was just saying that so I wouldn't search her car after he arrested her Walmart. I said, you did search her car. Yes, I did. But she offered anyways. Yes. So that doesn't work very well. Here's what he did. Every time he said pseudoephedrine, the word pseudoephedrine, he said used in the manufacture of methamphetamine. His tagline.
Oh, it's his tagline.
With the high.
Yeah.
His was, and it got redundant. It got ridiculous.
Well, they told him to do that.
Well, I don't know. The jury hated him for it. They said it. They found him obnoxious.
Wow.
They told me that if it had been anything but pseudoephedrine, they would have found her not guilty. They said if it had been tampon, they would not have convicted.
I get that. But that's a different scenario.
No, it's not.
Okay.
The currency, you're strung out. You're using meth. You want the meth. You don't have money. You have to come up with a currency.
One's an
You
illegal
don't have
drug.
cash.
One you use for your period.
I'm sorry. I'm so confused. Is that a legal argument?
I was just trying to throw you off. I just want to say period. So one is an illegal drug and one is a cotton ball. Okay. There's a difference. You can say, I get your point. Well, it's the currency. I get that. But whatever.
Then what? You're stealing cold tablets.
No, she was stealing
Cold
drugs
tablets.
that are used
No.
to make meth
So-
and giving them to the meth dealer who then makes them and sells them.
Who cut a deal and got less time than she did.
What?
He cut a deal to testify against her and got less time.
Yeah,
than
of
she
course
did.
he did. Yeah.
He's the crook.
It's ridiculous. I agree 100%. Stupid.
All right. So, and then there's the guy who was
And then
found
there's the guy.
intoxicated.
He was.
Listen, don't out me just because I'm gay. All right.
I was
I
sort
wanna
of
come out-
impressed.
I want to come out of the
I
closet.
love you. No matter if you're gay
I'll
or
come
straight,
out-
I love you the same.
Well, just
That's what I would tell all my students.
Just let me come out on my own.
Okay. Love you the same, no matter if you're gay or
I
straight.
just watched that movie, by the way, a high school kid who gets outed for being gay. It's an interesting movie.
What happened? Did he get a boyfriend?
He's tormented. He suffers. The school turns on him.
Really?
He's
In
redeemed.
today's
He
day and
gets-
age?
Well, I don't
Wasn't it a small little podunk town or something?
it came halfway in the movie, but in the end, there's redemption because after everybody scored him, his friends are mad because he's been hiding it and lying to them and doing things. And so he redeems himself, and then he goes on Facebook or whatever social media and says, yes, I am gay. Yes, and this is who I am. This is the real me. And he's looking for this guy he met on the internet that he believes is a fellow student who has now scorned him because he's been outed and they don't want to be outed. So he doesn't know who the person is, but he's in love with them from all these
Okay.
emails, right? The emails are exposed, but not the person behind
Gotcha.
it. So at the very end, he says he types out, you know where to find me. I'll be there at 10 o'clock tonight. I hope you'll.
And they date him up.
And so at the end of the movie, he gets on the Ferris wheel. Apparently, somehow I missed the beginning. The Ferris wheel.
It's a
means
big
life.
thing.
So he's going to get on the Ferris wheel and he's going to ride it until his boyfriend shows up or doesn't show up. But this is what it'll be, right? I'm like, okay, I'm down. He's got a rendezvous with Destiny, and
They beat him up.
We'll see. No, the whole school is like, yeah, he's coming, so strong.
Oh, okay.
Wait, they're all standing at the Ferris wheel, watching him for hours, waiting for the other guy to show up. I'm like, how uncomfortable would it be if you were the other guy?
And he never came.
Well, he did it
okay.
very last minute. He shows up, but
Okay, well, that ended up good. I like that.
yeah, but why would you have the whole?
Was it a surprise
I mean,
that was he an athlete
Yeah.
or something?
Well, he was. They knew each other, but they didn't know. The other guy knew who he was.
Oh, my Lord.
He didn't know. Till the final scene, the guy runs up and gets on the Ferris wheel just as it's the last go round before the shutting down the fair, and sits down and he's like, yeah, and they kiss.
Gotcha.
High
Everybody
school
claps?
boys and all the down below,
Uh-huh.
they're clapping.
Good, I like this.
I know, but
It ended up good.
But being gay was obviously already kind of a
Yeah, that would be rather
sensitive
difficult.
issue.
Remember, it's a movie. It's a movie.
And he says to this guy that outed him on the internet, he says, the guy comes, I'm sorry, I didn't know people would do so badly. I'm trying to get the photos off because I did something stupid.
Right.
And he says, did
me a
screw
favor.
You. No. He says,
Oh,
screw, I hate you. You took from me. It was my choice when I come out. It's
Wow.
my choice.
okay.
Time and place, and you ruined it.
Oh, I thought they stayed together.
No, this is the guy that outed him. This isn't the guy.
Oh,
on
okay.
the Ferris wheels.
God.
There's multiple characters.
Thank you for that. Gordy, what was the name of the movie?
I don't
know.
know.
I knew you were going to say that.
I used to.
What's the name of the movie, people?
Yes. What is the name of the movie? I
Oh
used to
my
have a
God.
producer that knew that stuff before I finished talking.
Okay.
When I was
I
at
am so well, yeah,
KYNG,
because I could too if I had to write internet. The internet sucks here.
You are cruel. You're cruel.
You're upset because the internet sucks.
I want to hear it. All right. So this guy gets nailed for DUI, and it's been in the news lately. And
shouldn't be driving
turns
under
out
DUI.
that when he digests
That's
carbs,
that's right.
it turns into alcohol. It's a rare disease. And they tested him, and like a piece of bread made him.
I don't remember this. Is this the fungi one?
Oh, brewery syndrome.
Man, I totally missed this. Okay. Go ahead.
They often face accusations of closet drinking, mental illness, or driving drunks.
Interesting.
They believe that he is drunk, so they went after him, but ultimately he was exonerated.
Because he has this
His
rare
blood
disease.
alcohol level tested twice the legal limit, but he swore he hadn't had a drop. Turns out fungi in the man's digestive tract turns carbs into alcohol.
Well, does that mean he gets drunk? Or is he all right?
Well, that's a good question. It's not in there.
Well, that's a little bit about the case.
Well, but it's a defense to intoxication if it was involuntary.
Okay, I get it, but he still, if it does affect him, he still shouldn't be driving.
Well,
is my point. I get it if
diagnosed.
It's right. I get it if it's a disease. However,
it may have been he was tested. All right, Department of Education got a court injunction against them because they're still trying to screw over people that took loans. There's supposed to be, I believe, a moratorium. They continued to collect on loans that students obtained to attend for-profit school that went bust. So it's like Phoenix University's for-profit, ITT. So you can get a grant
where you don't have to pay it back.
Right.
But a loan,
you have to go.
What happens when they get loans and like ITT went bust and all those
that's
thousands and thousands of students across the country?
So the question becomes: the Department of Education exercise appropriate supervision over this school to make sure that if they were receiving federal monies, that they were providing an education. So at some point, the court said you cannot collect money from these people that went to this school. They didn't get the benefit of the bargain. And I don't know what exactly else was said in that court case. But under Betsy DeVos, not only did they go ahead and continue to collect and garnish wages and screw people, also went over people who didn't actually owe any more money. And then
so they were just harassing everyone.
We're just taking people's money. Probably took it out of tax returns and anywhere they could the money.
Are they getting in trouble now?
And it says there's a $100,000 fine that's been assessed against the Department of Education, federal U.S. Department of Education for being sleazeballs. And the ruling came one day after a top federal student loan official resigned what he called a fundamentally broken and insane program. Okay, the next economic disaster that's waiting to pop in the United States could be the student loan program. The amount of money that is owed and the difficulty it's causing people who took those loans is so economically oppressive that they're not sure that there's not going to be a massive bankruptcy and all these. It's like the mortgage.
Sure.
If the homes.
Well, aren't they saying that about the millennials? They have any student loans that they're never going to be able to buy a home? Isn't that what they're saying about all these millennials? If they don't have the money and then the apartments are so high that they got to pay.
How old is a millennial?
20s. They're 20s,
I don't pay attention to 20s. I got 2 millennials. They ain't going nowhere. They're going to stay in the bedroom.
That point's been made.
Well, I don't know if they can afford it or not. They did the math and said, I'm not going anywhere.
Well, part of that's
true. Call my daughters. Okay.
Ken's going to adopt me so I don't have to work and just lay around.
Stacia works.
No, I'm not talking about Stacia. Stacia's a hard worker and goes to school.
Brigham Young University is suing to stop journalists from obtaining emails from the school's police department. So typically, police activity is discoverable under the Freedom of Information Act. But the Brigham Young is saying, well, we don't have to give up that information. So the Salt Lake Tribune is investigating allegations that students who reported sexual assaults, that would be primarily women, were then disciplined. They were disciplined by BYU for violating their sexual.
So they were getting raped.
Honor code.
And then Brigham Young was going in and saying, well, now we know that you have committed this. You have had sex.
Well, yeah, because the code covers alcohol, tobacco, and premarital sex.
Yeah, but because you were raped, you've had sex, you're no longer allowed at our university.
BYU saying we don't have to give up that information because we're a private university.
Can the ACLU go against that? What's that? Can the ACLU do something on that? Who does that? Who would file on that?
Somebody's suing.
God, I hope so, for God's sake. And I think they win. That's pathetic.
Yeah, well, so what's happening is they're saying, oh, you know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, you're messing with it.
No, you don't know what I'm doing.
You're messing with it.
So they'll probably lose because police departments, even at private universities, are police activity. Well, they want to know how many reports you're getting. What are you doing with these reports? They're saying we're a private university. The lawyers are saying, no, this is police information. This isn't.
So which way do you think it's going to go?
Well, I don't know.
What way would you guess?
Brigham Young is suing to stop them. So Brigham Young's apparently afraid they're going to win.
I would think that they'd win, especially considering it's predominantly women. It's not men usually being assaulted. So it's, yeah.
New York City and California say that the U.S. Postal Service didn't deliver on stopping smuggled cigarettes from foreign countries. I didn't know we had a prevent.
Neither did I. And I don't understand. What are they supposed to do? Have a dog force going through every package to smell it, to see if there's tobacco in it? Why is the post office responsible for this?
The 2010 Prevent All Cigarette Trafficking Law. So they're saying that the postal workers ignored deliveries from abroad that sometimes were actually labeled cigarettes. So the states are saying that cost them $40 million a year in tax revenue.
It's just
it's not about it being healthy or not. It's about money.
I knew it wasn't about being healthy. Oh. But if you're a postman and you're delivering a package and it says cigarettes on the outside, are you supposed to take that package? I mean, it's up to the postman to do this?
Yeah.
No. I'd deliver it too. They're already disgruntled. We don't need to make them more disgruntled. Did I tell you I was in the post office in Richardson and one of the postmen from the back came out screaming and yelling, and the boss was running after him trying to calm him down. He was throwing his arms up in the air and he was screaming and yelling, and we all looked at each other and lied and walked out the door and left. I was like, I'm not seeing it here. There's a disgruntled Richardson on Arapahoe.
On Arapahoe.
I left.
The big one.
The big one. I left. Everybody, I just sort of turned and I mean, they go, I'm leaving. I go, I'm leaving. And the whole line left. I'm not going to stand in.
I get you, yeah.
Would you leave?
I'm armed. What do I care?
Okay.
So, a couple of last minute ones.
Okay.
We're almost at the end of the show.
Oh, wow. What time is it?
That's 6.
All right.
So, the LSAT, Law School Admissions Test, has a section called Logic. It's the most horrendous, horrible series of questions ever asked of humans.
I take it this wasn't your forte?
No.
Okay.
No. But I got very lucky because before the LSAT, I was lucky. My father was helping me. He could afford it. He let me take a class.
Yeah, that's the best way to do any of those tests.
Well, if I hadn't done that,
you wouldn't pass.
Oh, they taught us how to analyze a logic problem. Logic is like math, but without math.
Yeah.
It's math with math plus sociological implications. I don't even know what a logic question is, right? And I got a bunch of them. And I got a very high score on the LSAT. And as a result, I was admitted into law school. Which
is scary in itself.
Of course it's scary in itself. I didn't go to college. What are they doing letting me into law school? Well, they're going to end it because here,
This was a good point, I
You're
thought.
supposed to draw diagrams. You
Mhm.
got to know how to draw the diagram. So yeah, I can't do it. But there's 3 houses. First house is blue. Second one is purple. Second one is red. One's got a red roof, green roof, blue roof. If the house with purple is next to the roof with red, which house is over on the other side? So you're sitting there. They teach you how to diagram the
Mhm.
problem. So these people with disabilities, I guess,
Can't see. He was
yeah,
blind.
he was blind. Couldn't see to diagram, so he had no opportunity to answer those questions and failed. So he sued, and they actually agreed with him.
Mhm.
They
They
said,
said
"Yeah,
it
you
was
know what?
unfair.
We're going to
Mhm.
get rid of the logic questions." God.
No.
And the last one,
But what are they going to replace him with?
it can't be anything worse. Algebra, maybe they could put in a geometry question or a calculus question.
They had
on how to
those
do
when
that.
I was going to doctorate program for business, and they had those, and I did the same thing. I studied and took classes and learned how to do the
So
problems.
where's your doctorate?
So I didn't finish it.
All but the dissertation?
No,
ABD?
I
No.
only I had a few more left.
So
Want to take it for me?
so Trump
Oh.
went to Chicago,
Ah.
and the police chief. Listen, it's a Democratic city. He didn't have any business going there and trying to, do
But
his.
Dallas was a Democratic city in itself. It was the suburbs that weren't. We were blue in the city, and he went downtown Dallas.
Yeah, but he should have stayed away. So the police chief was hosting the National Police Chief Convention in Chicago, and old Trumpy went to speak there.
Well,
was a
who
guest
asked
speaker.
him?
So apparently he got an invitation from them.
That doesn't sound right.
But the Chicago police chief said, "You know what? I don't want to listen to this racial stuff. I'm not going."
But who invited him? That makes no sense when the police chief doesn't even endorse him. Who would invite him?
Well, there's other police chiefs. It was a national conference.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I
missed that
It
part.
was a national conference.
You might have said it. I missed
And
it.
the Chicago police guy is hosting it because it's his city, right?
Okay.
All right. So
I wouldn't go either.
And he said, "I'm not going to go. The values of the people of Chicago are more important than Trump would say. I can't, in good conscience, stand by while racial insults and hatred are kept in the Oval Office, or Chicago was held hostage because of our views on new Americans. So they're a sanctuary city, right?" So here's what Trump had to say. I don't usually cover Trump, as you know. I try to be nonpartisan.
Because when he does, he goes off the rails, and it's like totally unacceptable at that point. Because he goes, it goes from 0 to 100. Poof. Okay, it's okay. I'm gonna pat your back. Here we go.
He said, Trump said in an excerpt, "In fact, more than anyone else, this person should be here because maybe he could learn something." Okay, talking about
I know the police chief.
He said, "That's a very insulting statement. After all I've done for the police, not more than any other president ever done for the police. Over 100 years, we can prove it wrong, but probably from the beginning." Trump accused this police chief of not doing his job, called Chicago the worst sanctuary city in America, and said the city protects criminals at a level few could ever imagine. But he didn't stop there. You got to pay attention to this last one. People like Johnson put criminals and illegal aliens before the citizens of Chicago. And those are his values. And frankly, those values to me are a disgrace. I want Eddie Johnson to change his values and change them fast.
He just says whatever he wants. He just makes it up and spews it out and says whatever he wants. And you know this. It's just ludicrous. I don't understand how somebody, no matter even if you disagree with the person, he's a police chief of a major prominent city doing good for that city.
And he was in that city, just like he did.
And he's in the city.
That's Baltimore.
Man, maybe I would have pulled the police force up.
Oh, I would.
Well, I don't think that's who's guarding them. No, look at that pretty owl.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Look at those eyes.
Well, it's 7:03.
Yay!
Before we go,
yay! I know it goes on for a little while because we're good.
Thank you all.
We're good.
We
We are that good. I know. We are that
standing
good.
ovation.
Yeah, we are that good. I know. I know.
All right. So thank you, Jackie, Marcus, Martin, Aaron, Susan, Radine, David, anybody else who tuned in. I was just a
I
couple
see
of names.
everybody out there. Hi.
Yeah, we can't read.
I can.
You can?
Kelly Walker, Julie's there, and Marie
John?
Williams.
No, Julie, John.
John's
You
there.
can't
John
read.
Briscoe's there. I see John Briscoe and
All right,
and Marie.
So we're trying to read her
See,
phone.
I read it.
I'm going to throw
I can
myself
read
off a bridge.
Are you praying to Buddha? Should I turn Buddha around or something?
Just want to make sure I control the microphone for a moment.
I have a loud mouth and they can hear me.
Forgive her. Forgive her. She knows not what she does.
Oh my God, that's coming from a Jew and a Buddhist.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Aaron. Listen, we tried to provide you with some.
We tried.
Well, it was a little different, by the way. The
I
preparation
sort of liked it
was
today.
different.
It was a lot
We
of fun.
did more synopsises.
I liked it.
So, listen.
We are listening. What's up, Ken? We're not going to be here next week.
No, we're not going to be here. I'm going to be at the wedding.
He's going to be at a wedding, hopefully.
San Francisco.
Hopefully, San Francisco.
I'll be in Tucson this winter for a while. And in the meantime, a big shout out to all y'all because, you can ask somebody to tune in anytime this week, anytime ever, anytime of night or day. They can go to our YouTube channel, Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder, and watch the show. It's recorded. It sits there waiting for you to view. Or you can look at
or
it
Ken
on
Goldberg's
Facebook.
law-disorder.com.
Right. So,
They are going up on there, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the
Oh, yeah. We're recording. So, we have the Cosmic Yogi Festival is this Saturday.
Cosmic Yogi Festival. Woo-hoo!
Starts at 9 a.m. Goat yoga,
Yay.
aerial yoga.
Traditional classes, Kundalini, Hatha, restorative meditation.
I've been going to Hatha yoga with AJ on Mondays.
And Kundalini breath work. He's breathing well.
I'm doing my best, but mostly you did
You did good in the breathing.
well.
But your
Breathing.
lungs are from riding your bike all the time.
It's breathing.
It's hard to breathe the way we breathe.
And I want to say this about Buddhist meditation. Okay.
It's quiet.
There's a little shout out to Buddhist meditation. I sit down with this monk and he says, all right, breathe. I'm like, I got this. Okay. Right. Then he says, so I'm breathing. He says, focus on the breath. Okay. That's hard.
It is very hard.
Okay. But breathing, I got it. Then he says, all right, we're going to do walking meditation. Everybody stand up.
Yeah, I love that.
So we stand up.
I love when you do that.
And he says, lift the foot, move the foot, place the foot. Lift the foot,
move the foot, place the foot. I love when you do that. When you do that.
So I walk across the room and I'm thinking, I got this. I know how to walk. Then he says, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to meditate some more. We sit down. What are we going to do? We're going to breathe. I'm like, this is not rocket science, man. I already know how to breathe. I know how to walk. I know how to sit.
Could you turn the mind off?
I'm in. No, but you know what he said to me?
Just watch it go by.
No, yeah, well, he said if your mind didn't work, you'd be dead. You wouldn't need to meditate.
Well, I know,
The
but you got to be
mind
able to.
works 24 hours a day, 7 days a
I
week.
know, but we still can turn it off to focus inward more.
The demons of darkness descend upon me the moment I close my eyes and start to breathe. But I'm going to tell you this about meditation.
Yeah.
I have met my demons. They're so silly now. They used to have some
There you
sort
go.
of power.
I
right?
like that. I like
you know,
that.
I mean, when I knew that my thoughts were irrelevant in the big course of things, I stopped meditating, and I swear to God, I think I was imagining that I've been petting dolphins at some sort of dolphin place
Oh, that was fun.
in
I've done
Iowa.
that.
In Iowa.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Okay.
I've never been to Iowa.
They probably don't want you there either.
I don't pet dolphins. I've never petted a dolphin. In other words, here I am having essentially a memory of something which never happened, is my point.
Right.
The mind makes up stuff. And Mark Twain said it best. He said, my life has been a series of unfortunate events, most of which never happened.
Yep.
Okay. So
Love that.
I would tell you to contact me if you need a lawyer, but you know what? I'm not really that interested.
Is this your psychology thing going on? That
No.
Tell them you don't want to be their
No.
lawyer, so they'll call.
No,
Or-
I just don't want to be anybody's lawyer anymore. It's too much trouble. I think Erin's a lawyer. I saw her thing. I went to her Facebook.
Well, we'll send them
page.
to Erin if they
She's
call.
she's in Phoenix.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but she's got like the name of a law firm and stuff with her name in it.
Oh, Erin.
Wait, mine was called Goldberg and Associates.
And there was no associates.
Nary one.
Your toes
Ken Goldberg and Associates.
and the 10 little piggies.
You know, I could have maybe someday. I could have been somebody and have a staff. You never know.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think you're right where you're supposed to be.
84 Stoltz Road. Although I won't be there tomorrow night, somebody will be leading tomorrow
Are you
night.
sure they're having it there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, we did it last week in the midst of the storm cleanup. So go to 84 Stoltz Road. It's the Buddhist Center of Dallas. And it's a meditation group every Wednesday at 7.
It's gorgeous.
And then
Beautiful building.
big shout out
Oh,
to
the fishies okay, I wonder? All the cool.
yeah, I took that.
Okay, good.
And then Richard Bike Mart. We should give a shout out because I now have bike number 5 around here. And,
Bike number 5.
Yeah, bike number 5. And that makes
because he needs more bikes.
13 in 8 years. But somebody's making out like a bandit because every time I sell one, you know, you got to let them go cheap, right? Yeah.
Well,
so
you're the sucker.
on that note,
okay.
AJ,
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
AJ
Tuesday night, 6 o'clock.
Ken's a sucker.